With us now, Stu Barnes-Israel. He's running for the Republican seat in Indiana's 9th Congressional District. That primary, by the way, is held on May 3rd. Stu, thank you. I mean, we want to talk about Ukraine, but I do want to get your sense very quickly on Joe Manchin sitting with the Republicans. Your thoughts on that?
Well, sure. Well, I'll say that I was disappointed in Joe Biden's rhetoric that failed to meet the moment in his State of the Union and failed to address how American families are struggling in this economy and how the world has fallen into chaos here. But I think that Joe Manchin is signaling that, once again, he has to break away from his party and side with Republicans here on how to address this crisis, and that is certainly that we need to pursue energy independence here in our country. Will make us more secure, will make the world a safer place. And those of us who have fought for our country here recognize that we want our government to have all the tools at its disposal to blunt the actions of our adversaries without having to send troops into harm's way, and without having to ask American families to suffer more economic pain here at home.
Yeah, and I know you served in the Army, and so you speak from where you speak. And my question to you is, do you believe that Congress is doing enough to really make that point to the president, that we need to produce more energy here at home and we need to take less energy from the Russians? Is that crystal clear coming out of Congress, in your opinion?
I think we need to be more clear, and I think we need to say this louder until the Biden administration takes some action. I think it's clear that we need to remove regulations and allow the American energy industry to produce enough energy here to allow us to move forward in a positive way. There's no reason that we can't sustain ourselves on energy made here. We can do it in a responsible way, and we can do it in a way that we can export energy to our allies around the world who don't have to rely on Russian oil, and it would give us the tools to respond to this crisis.
Yeah, and you're a soldier, former soldier, Stu. What do you make? I mean, you look at this war now in day 8. What do you make of the intestinal fortitude of the Ukrainians going against the Russians and holding their own to this point?
Well, the Ukrainian soldiers should absolutely be proud of what they've accomplished. They are brave and they are valiant and they are fighting for their homeland. That is a powerful motivator. And they know the terrain, they know the streets, they know how to defend their home better than the Russians do. And the Russians have clearly faltered here. And their logistics and their supply lines are strained, and they've had to pause, but they are on the move again, and the Ukrainians certainly have their task out for them to continue to hold the line against this invasion.
Yeah, and I wonder what you think, because, we talk a lot about these day 2 of these ceasefire talks will start tomorrow. And, President Zelensky and members of his cabinet have said, listen, these are important talks, but they've also said we are not about to offer more concessions to Russia. I know they're standing their own, Stu, but do you believe maybe it's time for the Ukrainians to at least consider offering some concessions to Vladimir Putin, or do they hold firm?
I think we all need to. Hold out hope for peace here. I think that the Ukrainians need to decide their own destiny, and they need to decide where they're willing to concede and where they aren't. Right? They are in a position where they're defending their homeland, they control their future, and they need to continue to fight for that in these negotiations and on the ground. And the world will continue to support the Ukrainian people in this fight.
And you talk about that because the world really is supporting Ukraine in this fight. I mean, you have this condemnation in the UN, you have this condemnation in the U.S. Congress, you have the international, courts that are now looking at war crimes in Vladimir Putin. My question is with all of that, you roll it all up together, and it doesn't matter because Ukraine is still fighting a war alone.
That's absolutely right, and we've been saying this for a while that Europe needs to come together and do more for the security of Europe. And President Trump was saying years ago that Germany and other countries and NATO need to spend more on the defense of Europe, and we're finally starting to see that happen now. And it's unfortunate that a crisis had to happen for countries to come together, but hopefully we'll be more secure in the future.
Stu Barnes, Israel, best of luck to you on May 3rd in the primary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the invasion of Ukraine triggering an exodus of Russia's elite. In his State of the Union address Tuesday night, President Biden vowed